We woke up bright and early, well, dark and early, to watch this Cubs team, and they weren't really close. 0-1.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen or watch us every day. Today's episode is presented by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Opening day loss for the Cubs. They fall 4-1 to the Dodgers on Tuesday. First of two games in the Tokyo series. In Japan, Cubs did lead 1-0 when Shota Imanaga exited after 4 innings. They turned it over to Ben Brown, who is a great story in his own right. I think him even pitching today is a big win, but him and others did not execute when it mattered. Other big story from this one, Cubs finished with 3 hits and 1 walk. Next segment, we'll get into bullpen strategy. We'll close out with the preview of Wednesday and the couple roster moves they made prior to today's game. Sam, there's plenty of places to start. I do want to get your thoughts earlier than not on the pivotal 5th inning. But the Dodgers, who are without Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, they scored 3 times in that pivotal 5th, and this tier of team from game 1, they just look different than the Cubs. They did.
Well, and that's concerning because they shouldn't be that much different with those two guys not playing. Those are 2 massive superstars. I think the takeaway from me, obviously it's just one game, but the takeaway from me in this game was you didn't lose to the Dodgers because they had a higher payroll. You didn't lose to the Dodgers because of superstar stuff. You lost to the Dodgers because this was a low-scoring game, which we both anticipated coming in, and it came down to who was going to make mistakes. And the Cubs made tons of them. I said on our live watch-along, which I'll talk about maybe in the third segment, Matt.
Yeah, please.
People were the Cubs should have been losing when they were up 1-0. They were lucky to be 1-0. Imanaga walked 2 guys to lead off an inning, and then he walked 2 more guys with 1 out and was able to escape the jam. But this was it was about execution. The 5th inning, let's talk about it a little bit. But I'd like to preface by saying you also had 3 hits and scored 1 run, and you're not going to win many games when Seiya Suzuki and Kyle Tucker don't reach base. They went 0 for 8 without reaching base. And to be honest with you, outside of a decent left-on-left swing against Tanner Scott in the 9th, neither one of their at-bats were really overly competitive either. So,
and they faced a world-class pitcher, but guess what? They're going to face those guys.
Yeah, and you give credit to Yamamoto as well. But those guys, they're going to have to hit. 5th inning. Look, I thought it was interesting. I mean, you popped in the chat and said, this is a really big story with Ben Brown. Council's going to get crushed for it, and at the end of the day, it's about results, but I didn't hate it. Imanaga had to really work through those innings, and I just think it speaks to the lack of bullpen trust. I don't think the Cubs trust Thielbar. I don't think they trust certain guys. I would have liked to see Merriweather or Pearson in this game. I wonder if that'll happen if he was saving them for more leverage, like maybe instead of Brazier and Morgan, you would have seen those guys. It was a chance. It didn't work. John Birdie making that throw is inexcusable. He's on this team to not make those plays and to just be solid, as you said, and we're talking about him. And so it didn't go well.
Right, exactly.
It didn't go well. And then, I thought Matt Shaw's error was a tough one. I mean, he didn't need to throw that ball. I didn't think it was an egregious, oh my gosh, he doesn't look ready. It was actually a great play to get to the ball. And the Cubs walked 8 guys. I mean, you had 3 hits and you walked 8 guys. So I think
that's a loss.
I think
that's just a loss.
I think the positive here is that this is just one of those 50-60 you're going to lose. It never felt like they were in it. It was a boring game. I would like to take a nap.
Here we go. We're not even 5 minutes in, dude.
It was a really boring game. I mean, did the Cubs have a runner on second this entire game with less than 2 outs?
No.
Oh, yeah, maybe in the 8th with Birdie stealing that base.
Oh, maybe, but come on.
All
We
right, my
were,
nose is itchy.
finishing our prep at that point.
Yeah, no, we were checked out at that point. So yeah, it was disappointing. And as much as we've talked about, hey, I'm a little nervous about the rotation and whatnot, the offense they can't put together these type of games that often. I mean, it was just how many times we see this last year. Council comes to the presser. Well, we just didn't have a lot of traffic offensively. We didn't do a whole lot offensively. I mean, Council can't play hit and run. He can't be creative when nobody gets on base.
Well, that's why I always made sure last year during that run, while the bullpen got the headlines, I made sure to cite their run average, which was 3 runs a game.
Mm-hmm.
3 runs a game for that big a sample is not sustainable. So you're exactly right. This can't become a thing. This can't become a trend because you're going to run into pitchers like Yamamoto. And what happens Wednesday when we get to it later in the show with Sasaki? That he throws a harder splitter. Sam, didn't you say that in the Samcast?
I'll tell you this: I'm tired of the splitters.
The runs are at a premium, but this sequence from Ben Brown, and by the way, the issue, as we'll expand on next segment, the issue is not that Imanaga was pulled; it was who was first out of the pen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we could break that down.
The walk to the 9-hitter is the story.
It is, because he got a strikeout right away. I blinked. He struck the first guy out, Rojas. He walks Pages, or as I say, Pages. He walked him actually twice to throw salt in the wound. He walked him the following inning as well. And Sam, he was 0-2. Despite the walk, he was 0-2 to the best hitter on the planet.
Just threw a and the 0-1 pitch was a bad pitch. I said on the watch long, I'm like, that's a bad pitch.
True.
And then he threw it again.
So Ohtani makes him pay, single. Pages goes first to third. Edmund single. That's a tough play for Happ to his right.
Terrible.
With that being said, it hit his glove. But it's a tough play.
Okay, so wait, let me interrupt you. So because Fox did not give me any replay on that. So it actually hit his glove first.
Well, I think it made contact with the turf.
Okay.
I believe first.
Okay. Sorry.
But there wasn't much space in between ball, turf, and glove.
Yeah.
But I saw the replay multiple times. That's interesting that Fox didn't show it on marquee. I saw it.
No,
and it wasn't a routine play.
Could he have caught it?
What?
Could he have caught it?
I mean, my instincts to say yes, but it didn't strike me as like, wow, that play should have been made.
Got it.
Fielder's choice. Again, John Birdie should not be on my rundown, yet he is. And I get it. The guy would have been safe, right? Teoscar Hernandez, doesn't matter. Just pocket the baseball, because now another run scores. Will Smith with a nice single. And then finally Brown gets out of it by striking out Max Muncy. He also pitched the 6th and some of the 7th. So final line of 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts for Brown. And you almost think like the likelihood of him being a reliever if control and command is an issue, doesn't that actually go down? Because of in this type of situation. So I was wondering about that too. But 4 runs on 7 hits and 8 walks, Sam, to the Dodgers. That's not going to work. Yamamoto limited a lot of damage. Cubs just didn't have a lot of traffic. And again, that's what this tier of team does. Dodgers were without 2 of their best players, who also so happen to be 2 of the best 10 guys in the world. And I was excited when Amaya got that hit. That was a huge hit.
Yeah, and I didn't think it was going to get down. It was
that was it.
I got excited too. When Imanaga just crushed the first inning and then Happ walked, because it's like,
oh yeah,
when you have Seiya and Tucker in the middle of the lineup, man on first, no outs, that should be let's go. We could really go here, and it just wasn't. Right. I mean, you look at the box score, Matt. There just wasn't a whole lot here. I mean, the Cubs.
There wasn't.
Here's a stat. The Dodgers threw 121 pitches today. The Cubs threw 185.
That's a big one.
And some of it is the Dodgers are really good at working counts, especially guys like Muncy. But I got to say, Matt, I mean, it's early, and if the Cubs win tomorrow, all's well. But it was a little bit disheartening for it to be that much of a mismatch without Betts and Freeman, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
I mean, Tucker.
They were silenced.
It's just, I just want to see better at bats from the middle of the order. That's what I'll be looking at for tomorrow. But yeah, I hear what you're saying on Brown. I hear what you're saying. I think as the game goes longer, yes, they made mistakes, but they weren't going to win 1-0. They just weren't.
No.
So you got to figure out a way to get some hits. I think Freddie will maybe he tries to play tomorrow. I'm sure he wants to.
Right.
But just a really slow, boring, kind of had a 2024 feel to it.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, I think tomorrow will be important to kind of maybe dispel some of that. All right, coming up next, let's get into the bullpen strategy and more. Stay tuned.
This episode is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, they're free. Their free Trademaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5, that's SH5, for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like the energy of an MLS match. The chance, the atmosphere, the last-minute goals. If you want to experience it all live, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last-minute deals, all-in prices, and a lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLS tickets. Plus, ticket prices actually drop as kickoff gets closer, so you can score amazing seats at a great price. I know Lionel Messi, the great Lionel Messi, is coming to Chicago in April, and I'm going to wait and make sure he plays because he hasn't been healthy, but I definitely will be using Game Time and that great feature to get my tickets for that. I love that I could see the exact view for my seat before I buy, so there's no surprises when I get to the stadium. As we all know, at Wrigley Field, you have those pillars in the section 200, so you want to make sure that you have a good, clean view of the game before you buy the tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Shota Minaga was done after 4 innings, 69 pitches, only 43 strikes. I guess you could make the case he could finish out the batting order. It was 8-9-1 due up in the fifth, but the info we had was his pitch count was going to be 75. So I think if you're making that argument today, I think it's a major stretch, and I believe there's none to be made there, especially since we've known really since the convention in January that Imanaga and Steele would be limited in these first two games since they're so much earlier than usual. I was surprised to see Ben Brown be the first out of the pen. You could make a case that Craig Counsell and his crew there were too creative. I'm not going to go down that road necessarily. I just thought from a baseball perspective, I didn't think today was going to be an innings and bulk day, which is what two guys did. Ben Brown and Eli Morgan ended up pitching more than 1 inning. I thought maybe Wednesday for that sort of strategy, especially with Steele only throwing 62 pitches last week. So Sam, this was a fun twist in the moment. But I was trying to play back,
Yeah.
what would be my pitching path to victory.
Yeah.
I wrote it down in front of me. I was surprised that this was a bulk day for the first person out of the pen of the season. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I don't dislike it. So here's what I think, Matt. I'm not sure Brown goes 3 if he does his job. I think he ended up pitching 3. At that point, it turned into a low leverage situation after he was done. Maybe Brown was really just supposed to be an inning plus 2 innings bridge to Merriweather, Pearson, Presley, Hodge, because that's where the Cubs would have gone if they were winning. But I don't dislike it because I think look, this isn't a team that has a lot of stuff. It just isn't. Like, you look at Banda and Kasparius coming out of the bench. Like, those are some of the lower leverage guys for the Dodgers, and they look really good. Like, the difference between the Cubs and Dodgers is so far more than just money. It's player development, pitcher development, and I didn't want to see Thielbar. I didn't want to see some of those guys. Maybe, and I think Merriweather Pearson's probably too early for the 5th, so I didn't dislike it. I think for the Cubs to be good pitching wise this year, they need a lot out of Ben Brown, and Ben Brown's got really good stuff, and he didn't pitch well in this game. And one thing I don't like is when I see, well, actually after that 1 inning, he was fine. Well, the 1 inning was the difference in the game. So it wasn't good.
Correct.
Also, as far as Imanaga goes, Rojas and Pages are just 2 totally different hitters against righties. So even to try and get him to finish that, why? Just start Brown. Those are great matchups for Brown. He walked Pages and he didn't execute. Mm-hmm. And then it all steamrolled. And I, during the watch long, I said, you walk Pages here. This game's about to change. And it did.
That's exactly what happened.
But I don't.
And he doesn't walk.
Yeah, ever. I don't like it's one of those moves where the biggest move I was shocked at that worked was that Brown stayed in to face Ohtani a second time. I could not believe that.
Yeah, that was wild.
So that ended up working. I don't want to go to slamming counsel for that because it didn't work, because in the moment I thought it was exciting and I thought it was like, hey man, we want you to be a guy this year, so go out and be that guy. And if he goes 3 and strikes out 6 and shuts down the Dodgers, we're having a different conversation. But at the end of the day, you're judged on results. It didn't work. But I think the Cubs' just pathetic offensive showing today really made that a moot point for me in hindsight.
Maybe they do the fleet of relievers thing tomorrow, especially if they have a lead. Or not. Does Steele go for 4? Does Pearson go for 2? And then 3 guys go for 1.
Yeah.
Have to think you see Pearson, Merriweather, Presley tomorrow.
Yeah, because even if you're losing, you don't play for another week. So
yeah, Thielbar and Hodge will be on the card as well. That's probably it.
Yeah.
All those guys. I don't think anybody else out of that. I guess maybe an outside shot. If they're up or down a lot, maybe Jordan Wicks for length. But I'd like to see Pearson piggyback with Steele in some form or fashion there, because I think a lot of tomorrow will be about disproving and dispelling some of these very early notions that we're starting to produce, and I want to avoid discussing baseball like football. But with that being said, that's the beauty of what we do, because it's a companion sport. It's every day, and we've waited 5.5 months for a real game. That's we're going to enjoy it, and we're going to dissect it.
It was disappointing. There was a lot that went into this today. Look, like, we sacrificed stuff. Like I have to work when this stream ends. Like, I sacrificed a lot, and it was a completely boring game, and they gave you nothing, and so it hurts more than a regular 7:05 type of game, and that's it. And I think that's fair to say.
The bullpen, them not them having already levels of trust, is that the sign of a team that didn't do enough the last few months, or is it because it's game one? Or is it a combo?
I think it's. I mean, well, we know they didn't do enough. We talked about it already.
Yeah.
So, but I think today's just Council's just going with some feel.
Okay.
And I'm not going to read too much into how the bullpen goes until we get into a regular game situation. But it didn't work today, and the Cubs had 3 base hits.
Let's get into Wednesday's game right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by Just Ingredients. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. And Just Ingredients has also partnered with 2-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. Just Ingredients was so nice to send me their chocolate protein powder. It's so good. Love it. Love it before a show, a workout. It's clean and transparent with their ingredients. It fuels performance after you're recovering from a workout or needed energy boost ahead of time. So visit justingredients.us/Bryce Harper and use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off your order. That's justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB at checkout for 20% off.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Justin Steele and Roki Sasaki. Dodgers currently minus 138 on FanDuel. Cubs plus 118. Over under runs is at 8. We've talked throughout the show about the Cubs not doing much offensively, among a couple other things. So, Sam, Sasaki is not a soft landing by any means, but do you need to see something tomorrow from Seiya/Tucker?
Well, the Tucker stuff, again, I'll say it again. It's just annoying. I mean, Bobby Riddell, who was on our show on Monday, he put it perfectly. We got Tucker, so there isn't 1 for 35 stuff. And granted, he's not 1 for 35. He's 0 for 4 because the previous stuff doesn't matter. But he doesn't look good. I mean, the at-bats today, he's swinging at the first pitch, predetermined. I mean, it's just, it's a little bit annoying and frustrating. Seiya, when he struck out looking, I don't know, Matt, I think you were out of the live stream at that point against Bond. I lost it. That was probably my biggest peak.
Oh, I was out of there.
Yeah, I lost it immediately. I'm so check swing, huh. I don't care.
Well, that was a brutal at bat.
And it's just, you can't enough, man. Yeah, I mean, look, what I need to see tomorrow is a victory. So if that's 2-1 or, Sasaki, if he's on his game, it's going to look a lot like this.
It's going to be like 3-2, 2-1.
Yeah, you have to hope that he's overamped, that he walks some guys. I wonder if you see Matt Shaw tomorrow. I'm interested because it didn't go well today. That was the other thing. I was really hoping for a Matt Shaw pop or a PCA pop. We didn't get anything out of those guys. I just wonder, do you want him to start his career 0 for 8 with Sasaki? Maybe Workman goes to third. Because as ugly as the birdie air was, he actually hit a ball really well on the ground to the right side and got hit by a pitch, stole a base. Maybe you try and small ball your way against Sasaki. But yeah, Steele will have to throw the ball well. I think he'll be up for the challenge, just like Imanaga was. And, I just think it's a mental health game. It's a mental health game, right? Like JD talks about that. You just want that one. I don't want to sit for 7-8 days and go to Arizona and be 0-2.
Right.
And no, Frank, nobody's given up on Matt Shaw. I'm the biggest supporter. I'm just saying, going into the series, I thought there was a chance he plays just one of these games. and then maybe you just give him a little bit of a breather. Say, hey, you got your feet wet. Maybe you pinch hit, you pinch run, whatever. That's the other thing. The Cubs have tremendous speed, but nobody got on.
Didn't matter.
Yeah.
There's a chance that there's 3 new guys tomorrow if they really want to do that, with Turner somewhere, Workman somewhere, and Kelly for Amaya. So that could be something.
Kelly will probably play.
Yeah, I think so. And so we'll see. Matt Shaw was added to the 40-man before the game, obviously. Keegan Thompson was designated for assignment. Daniel Palencia option to AAA. Javier Assad placed on the 15-day IL. Brad Keller, somewhat of a surprise taxi squad person.
Weird.
He is not on the active roster, and he's still, not technically, he still is a non-roster invitee to spring training. I don't think they can make moves tomorrow unless there was like an illness or an injury. So we'll see what they do about Keller next week. I would guess they want to keep him. Otherwise, he can opt out. But we'll follow up on that in a week plus. Sam, the watch along was a resounding success, and the turnout was very impressive.
Unbelievable.
Just really, it's crazy. We're recording at 8:25 a.m. Central on Tuesday morning, but our audience has really proven again to be so amazing this to the start of this season, and to get that type of audience for a watch along, albeit game one. Just very cool. I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And as the executive producer of this show, I will be thinking about this throughout the day, and I might be instituting this to be done weekly.
Yeah. It was, first of all, logistically, it worked out great.
Okay.
I really like being a pitch or two behind, because then the whole point is you watch the game and then you go, hey, how is Sam going to react to this?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So perfect. I just had to refresh a little bit between innings. I pay about $1 billion a month for YouTube TV, but that's, we'll go in a different route. But yeah, I told you yesterday, I said, look, I'm going to play this by ear. If we have like 100 or more, I'll go 5, 6, 7 innings. And by the bottom of the first, we had 620 people at like 5:45 a.m., man.
I know.
It was spectacular.
Well, there was like over 200 at 5:10.
Yeah, it was spectacular, and I just wish that we had like a viral excitement moment. The Amaya double wasn't exactly, Joe Carter's walk-off World Series homer.
Wasn't exactly clip-worthy.
Yeah, right. But it was awesome. Everyone was really cool in the chat, and it definitely was the easy highlight of this long morning. Did you get any sleep last night? I fell asleep at about 1.
Yeah, it was. That's funny. It's around the same time for me. I believe it was about 1:20.
Oh,
poetic for being a diehard Cubs fan. But yeah, I got about 4 to 5 hours. So
yeah. So I'm gonna probably try and get a quick power nap in before I check into the day job here. Yeah. But I'll say this: Keegan Thompson. Like I guess I didn't get a chance to comment on that. It was time.
Yeah, it was.
And
we'll see if he lands on his feet anywhere.
I think the way my advice to everybody to approach the rest of the day is this: a lot of hype, a lot of excitement. Was a really boring, uneventful game, and you wake up tomorrow, you win a baseball game, and everything's different. Kyle Tucker finds a gap with a couple guys on, and all of a sudden, it was a fun trip to Japan. If they lose tomorrow, it's gonna look. I won't lie, it's gonna be a headache for 7-8 days.
Sam will be back tomorrow. We'll both be back on Thursday as we continue to track.
No watch along tomorrow, by the way.
Week
with a loss. Right. Yeah.
Thank you so much for checking out this episode. We are here 5 days a week talking about all things Cubs. If this is your first time here, stay with us all season long. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
See ya.